So we're here again highlighting another fantastic woman in our series From Hustle to Holy, How to Transform Your Business by Igniting Your Divine Feminine. Today we are here with Nimisha. Nimisha, thank you for being part of our online series. It's a pleasure to have you part of this event, so thank you. I wanted to let people know a little bit about you, so I'm going to share with them your bio. You're a functional medicine nutritionist, you're an Ayurvedic counselor, you're a yoga and meditation teacher, you're a former clinical researcher and tech founder, and you specialize in teen, fertility, pregnancy, and postpartum care, and an emphasis on mind, body, and spirit. So this is why I wanted to highlight you in our series, because I think what you're bringing to the divine feminine is so important. And so I want to give people a little bit more into what it is that you're doing to support women in igniting their divine feminine. But first, I would love for people to get to know a little bit about you, your background, where you grew up, and give us a little bit about your upbringing.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and talk about igniting the feminine divine energy. My background, so I was born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area in a very multicultural setting. My parents immigrated here from India, and so they brought a lot of culture and wisdom with them. And as many of you know, yoga and Ayurveda originated in India, and so all of the teachings come from there. And a lot of my growing up was balancing the East and the West, like my American lifestyle with my Indian lifestyle. And at home, we ate a lot of Indian food and a lot of like the home remedies, like the self-care things that are super trendy now, like oil pulling or massaging your scalp and all of that. I just grew up doing that without thinking much of it, without thinking it was a wellness trend or anything. It was just what we did because most Indian households do that. And so that was my upbringing. I went to, I finished high school, and then I moved away for college. I went to UCLA, 400 miles away from home. And that was like my first taste of freedom. And I had always thought I would be a doctor, I'd go to medical school and I do all the science classes and all of that. But the more I started learning about wellness and just the way medicine works, I really wanted to go into preventative care. And so then I started studying, while I was finishing up my pre-med degree in psychobiology, I went into Ayurvedic school. And for those of you who don't know what Ayurveda is over 5,000-year-old medicine form, older than traditional Chinese medicine, that puts a lot of emphasis on the mind, body, and root cause of medicine. It's very individualized, and yoga is a branch of Ayurveda. And so I started studying that, and that's really kind of the foundation of the path that, that led me to where I am today.
That is so great. You talk about Eastern, Western culture, medicine. We have a lot to learn from Eastern medicines and a lot of the ways of just what you said, right? It was just your upbringing and what you knew, but it really is a big supporting factor to our well-being and our longevity and being in tune with our bodies, right? And ultimately our divine feminine. So in what ways did you see that your upbringing really supported you? And I may have just touched on that, but what ways do you see that your upbringing supported you where you are today?
Right. So I think just living in a semi-traditional Indian household, I had a lot of that innate wisdom already, right? Like I've seen my grandmother and my mother use herbs and spices and all these like home remedies, kind of self-care things for minor aches and pains, and then we deferred to modern medicine, conventional medicine when needed. And so that definitely laid a foundation. Also, just being in a very multicultural upbringing, you know, like I was surrounded by so many different cultures. I really got to learn from everybody, all of my different cultured friends, about how they do things and like experience food. And being a nutritionist, I've always had an affinity for food and seeing how food works in our body and what it does for us. And I got to really learn. Yeah, I think that's how my upbringing really influenced on what I did, what I do today, and brought me to where I am.
And, you know, we're talking about masculine and feminine energies, and no matter what gender you identify with, we have them both, right? And there's beautiful qualities about them, but sometimes if they're out of balance and not in community and in harmony, they can get out of whack and our life gets a little off kilter. We're just not in alignment, right? Things aren't working. So at what point did you find yourself mostly working from your masculine, or maybe you found yourself in a more masculine working environment and you just noticed that that wasn't working for you?
Yeah. So, you know, some part of my upbringing does come into this, because I grew up obviously in a very Indian household, a very patriarchal society, and, you know, and kind of I've just accepted the way things are, like women just have to fight for their rights and, you know, equality and freedoms. And so I think also there was a lot of toxic masculinity, and then the way I did things, right? Like the way I would study for exams, the way it was like, it's, you know, everything had to be cutthroat and competition. Whereas like in the feminine, you embody more community over competition, and the masculine is all about like achieving your goals no matter what. So, you know, to get to my career, to get to all those things, I was definitely more in the masculine. So ignoring my health, right? Like stay up all night to study for exams, and that's very masculine. Not taking care of yourself. And so, you know, when things started breaking down, like, you know, I started getting sick. I just didn't feel as vibrant. Also, after I met my husband, years later, we started a company together, a tech company, because he's an engineer. He's always been in Silicon Valley. And so when we started this company together, that is when I realized how much in my masculine I was trying to live in. And if anyone knows me, I'm a very feminine energy person. But so it was really going against my nature. And I was a tech company that was in a very masculine, very male-dominated industry. And just things just weren't working out for me. I started getting sick and all that. And so that's when I realized, like, whoa, this is not aligned with who I am. It's not aligned with my intuition. And so that's when I had to start taking steps back and learning more about the feminine energy and how to embody the feminine energy.
Yeah, it always seems like there's a turning point for us, right? We actually get like just hit a wall because we're just running into our masculine, that we actually then wake up and ignite our divine feminine. Now, at that point, is that when you made the transition into where you are today?
Yes. You know, I had to, you know, I got really sick. I gained weight. I started losing my voice more and more because I was just so afraid to speak out against all the patriarchy. And I was against, you know, I was afraid to speak out against all of my male coworkers. And so I started losing my voice more and more. And, you know, a lot of other health issues started showing up, like yeast infections. Sex had become painful. My PMS was really severe. So at some point I was just like, wow, there is something really wrong. And when I go to the doctor, you know, they don't have an answer for me. And so that's when I went back to my holistic and Ayurvedic roots, and I was just like, wow, I'm really going against everything. And so that was my turning point. And it was that realization that everything I was doing just didn't feel right. And being in the feminine is listening to your intuition, and I had ignored it for too long. And being in the masculine, again, like I said, is trying to achieve your goals and kind of just push through. Like I think of like a train just kind of going without a stop. And so it's when that's when I had to say no to the tech company that I was a CEO of. And I let my intuition guide me to my next path and returning to holistic medicine.
Where you are today, helping women achieve what it is that they're wanting to achieve, and there's relatability, which is great, right? You know, a lot of times what they're experiencing because you were there, which is the most important thing. And in what ways do you nurture and make sure that your feminine is staying ignited? Because, you know, as you're businesswoman, and so there is the times where you're obviously creating structure in the business, and there is the time that obviously you can get into the masculine. So how do you make sure that you keep that nurtured?
Yeah, I still have to do a checks and balances on how much of my thoughts and actions are from toxic masculinity instead of divine masculinity. And it's, you know, kind of just checking in with myself and seeing if I feel good. And my entire practice, moon cycle nutrition, is founded on the basis of nurturing both. You know, both sides of us that reside inside of us. And so for myself, I do a lot of self-care work. You know, I make sure I'm eating really good and clean food that makes me feel good and vibrant, yoga, meditation, checking in with my support network, knowing that I can't do this alone. And so having a good, trusted circle of friends, mostly women. It's easier for me to talk to women. So I have a lot of women's circles and different groups that I go to just kind of reigniting myself and making sure that I am staying true to myself and being authentic in my work and as a person.
And now, in what ways have you noticed that, you know, continuing to keep that nurtured, but also making that transition into your life from operating mostly from your masculine into your feminine? How have you noticed that that's transformed your life and your business?
Mm-hmm. Immensely, like my life is just better. So what I noticed with a lot of women and what was coming up for me was it felt like I was PMSing 2 weeks out of the month, right? And that's not normal at all, but we've been kind of programmed to think that that's normal, that women's pain is normal. And so in my practice, you know, I help women regain their hormones and regain their balance, and understanding that there are four cycles to every period. Every month, every week is a different representation. There's a week to be creative. There's a week to really like do those presentations and interviews and become like that boss lady. And then there's a resting week, you know, a week where you kind of start slowing down and going more inner. And then there's like a week where it's like, I equate it to winter, where you're kind of hibernating and just really like resting your body so you can go out into the world again. And so living your life according to your period, your moon cycle, just understanding that can really help you become more successful. And I am more successful following the rhythms of my body, the rhythms of nature, and just so, you know, certain things like right after my period is when I will make plans to be a little more social. And then during my my strongest phase, the CEO phase, I like to say, that's when I'm going to schedule all the big important meetings, the interviews, the launches, the you know, the things that take more energy and requires me to be more vocal. And I use science to back a lot of this up. Given my background in psychobiology and clinical research, I use whatever is out there to help myself and other women. And then I start slowing down, you know, I start really nourishing myself more. I go slower in the exercises and tap more into my creative side. And so that's how I use, and that's how I keep my business successful, and tapping into the yin and the yang of our natural life cycles.
And I love hearing that, because everything that you're speaking on right now, it just reminds me how beautiful it is for us to be so much more in tune with who we are, our cycles, our being, because there are different times of our beautiful womanhood that we're going to operate in different ways. We're beautiful, flowing energies. So I love that you're reminding us to really listen to our bodies and being tuned with that. So thank you. And so with your business today, can you share a little bit about how you are supporting women? I know you briefly touched on that, but how are you supporting women in igniting their divine feminine?
Yeah, given my varied background of being in tech and then being in wellness and holistic medicine, I actually help women really find their authentic self by becoming friends with their body, by you know, healing their relationship with their periods, all of that period shame, with healing their relationship with their food, and you know, just really loving their body using nutrition and lifestyle. And then the other aspect is that I'm a femtech advisor. So I advise women who are themselves entrepreneurs and who themselves are creating businesses, and especially in female industries and female health industries. And so I help them how to stay in balance, but yet fundraise, you know, and get that media coverage that they need, or just formulate their business. Yeah, and so, but using the knowledge that our bodies are our friends, and we need to take care of ourselves, because we're no longer living in that age where, you know, it's like so cutthroat that we have to compete with men. And, you know, men can, they cycle 24 hours, you know, they don't have these monthly long cycles. They don't have the hormones that we have. And so they can keep going. But if we try to follow that, we will burn out. And there's that realization that we can actually accomplish more, but in a different way.
Yes, great. I love that. And you have a free offer and a free gift for our audience, right?
Yes.
What is that? What do you have for us?
So with that link, you can download a guide that I've created to optimizing your hormones and living your a balanced life for an optimal life and optimal career and relationships.
Beautiful. Thank you for that generous gift. And thank you for everything that you're doing for women to really get in touch with their bodies and who they are and the essence of who they are, because in that there's such confidence and there's such ownership of being a divine feminine. So thank you. Any last words for our audience before we wrap up here?
Just that, you know, really embrace yourself, your body, your mind. It's working for you instead of against you. And so it's just really getting quiet and listening to what your body is asking of you.
Beautiful advice. Wonderful. Very gentle and simple. So thank you again for sharing yourself with us and allowing people to see the gifts that you're bringing to the world. Thank you again for participating in this online series, and we'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.